Things are more intense now in the lockdown, aren't they? So there's more chance of misunderstandings and more tension. Is there also more opportunity to deepen communication? So tonight we're going to explore what the Buddha said about arguments. So yeah, very warm welcome to the Wednesday night class. My name's Maitrinara. I'm an ordained member of the Triratna Buddhist community, and I'm a teacher at Brixton Buddhist community. And so what we're doing these Monday and Wednesday night classes live, so to speak, not live to camera, but live in person. And we're trying to generate accessible Dharma and sense of community. And now we're just doing that all online. So if you enjoy what you're seeing, and if it's your first time along, really warm welcome. And just press the subscription and the alerts, and then you'll be able to see what's coming up. So shortly I'll be doing some shout outs. So really good to know who's out there, who's tuned in, so I know who I'm with. So do just put something in the chat box, let me know you're there. And there'll also be a chance for questions later. So as we go through the evening, if questions occur to you, we'll gather those up at the end of the evening and have a chance to explore those. Okay, so before we do that, let's salute the shrine together. So we salute the shrine, we're saluting the three jewels, which means the Buddha, the Dharma, his teaching, and the Sangha, the community that practice those teachings. So for Buddhists, that's the kind of highest ideal. So we just we acknowledge that by saluting the shrine. Okay, so we'll do that in call and response. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Namah, Om Ahum. So we're going to be doing this exploration of what the Buddha said about arguments, really getting into that. But before we do that, I'm going to lead us in a guided meditation. It's quite apt, really. It's going to be on the Metta Bhavana. What else? So it's going to be on the Metta Bhavana, about 15 minutes. I'm just going to guide us through it. And what I'm going to suggest that you do, if you don't know the practice, that's fine. You better just follow it along with me. If you know it, I'm going to really be suggesting who we use is people that are really we're up close with, okay? Because that's what's happening at the moment. Yeah, we're up close to people. If you're living on your own and you're not up close to people, the people you're in the closest contact with. So we're going to be kind of bringing people to mind. That's where it's really live, yeah? Where the feelings and emotions are really live. Okay? So with the meditation, you don't need to do anything special to set up. If you want to just sit in the chair or sofa that you're on, that's fine. If you want to set yourself up on the cushions, that's fine too. Okay, so let's just take a moment to just get ourselves settled in to wherever we're going to be doing the meditation. So good. So we just close our eyes and just now have an opportunity to really tune in to how we are just now. And we'll just start by broadening our awareness out. And we may have been involved in all sorts of things today, so just broadening that, taking the space around us. Wherever we are in our bedrooms or lounge, wherever we are, just taking this space in and the space beyond the walls of your house or flat. Start getting a feeling that we are in quite a boundless space. And there's sounds emerging and submerging in that space. Just letting that be there. Noticing the texture of the sounds. And then here we are, as it were, contained in that much broader space. So we can feel we're here, we can feel our bodies. And in some of your body you might feel quite strongly, and some you might not feel so strongly. And then getting a sense of our contact with the ground. That's something that we can feel directly. And then just seeing if you can allow the lower part of your body just to sink into that contact with the ground. Just allow the lower part of the body to soften, and to sink into the ground. And noticing where your weight is dropping into the cushion or the chair or the sofa. And then noticing the area of your belly, noticing if there's any kind of holding on or gripping on in the belly. You might want to take some deeper breaths down into the belly, just see if you can allow that to start to soften, start to let go. And then, like as if from the foundations of a mountain, we just feel our body rising up. This massive sensations that we can feel, our back, and shoulders, and neck. And again, seeing if you can start to let your shoulders soften and relax. And bringing your attention up into the head, into the face, around the eyes and forehead. If you've been on the screens, you might notice a certain constriction around that area, so just see if you can allow your eyeballs to just sink back a little bit in the sockets. They come into a softer focus. Allow the forehead to start to smooth out. Might notice that the tension drops away from around the mouth. In this broad space of our awareness, we're just bringing into focus this area of the chest, heart center. And feeling your way into the heart center, just whatever sensations are present there. Just noticing that whatever's there is fine. If it's pleasant, it's fine. If there feels a bit tight and uncomfortable, that's fine. Or maybe there's just nothing much there. You can't notice much sensation there, that's fine. So just whatever's there, just breathing into that. Noticing whether the sensations feel rather dense, whether there might be some lightness there, some openness. So just bringing to bear this mind of loving kindness to whatever is present. It's almost like this broad space that we're contained in is metta, holding whatever feelings, emotion, thoughts are going on. Now we're going to bring to mind a good friend of ours, somebody that we are in close connection with. Ideally someone that's in our real close proximity, someone we're in contact with daily at the moment. If there's someone that fits the bill like that, just choosing them or the closest you can get to that. And just try and get a sense of this person. You might even want to say their name to yourself a couple of times. So getting a good sense of this person. And then imagining, if you will, them being surrounded and suffused by this space of loving kindness. So from their own side, whatever they're feeling, thinking, or sensations they're having, are held in this space of loving kindness. And then noticing your own response bringing this friend of yours to mind in this way. So it's just as if we're breathing alongside them. Breathing in this same warm air of loving kindness. And now we're going to bring to mind somebody in our life at the moment. There's not a great deal of feeling one way or the other. And just be feeling a bit blocked off to them. You don't feel strongly for them or against them. Maybe a neighbour in close proximity. If you know their name, you could say that. Not just getting a sense of them. And again, whoever they are, wherever they are, see if you can get a sense of them being suffused and surrounded by this field of loving kindness. So that from their own side, whatever they're thinking, feeling, whatever sensations they're having or emotion, is held in this space of loving kindness. And then noticing your own response to that. Bringing this person to mind in this way. And then just breathing with them. Breathing in and out the same warm air of loving kindness. Now we're going to bring to mind someone we're having some difficulty with at the moment. There's someone close by in your vicinity. You might want to choose them. Or maybe someone you're having a lot of thoughts about and some resentment or difficulty with. Who's not such in your close physical proximity. You could choose them. just make a decision. Whoever comes to mind, that's the right person. And imagine that they too are surrounded and suffused by this atmosphere of loving kindness. So that it's affecting what they feel, their emotions, their thoughts. And then notice how it feels to bring this person to mind in this way, without papering over, whether it be pleasant or unpleasant, just bringing that to mind, how that feels physically in the body. Softening in the body, feel at ease in the body. Imagine you're breathing in this same atmosphere, this field of loving kindness. Now we're just going to broaden out from these people we've been spending time with. Our good friend, person we've not had strong feelings for, this person we've been having difficulty with in ourselves. And imagining this field of metta extending out further and further, taking in all the people that are struggling at the moment. Taking in all the people that are feeling the tension of lockdown. People that are struggling, all sorts of reasons, as well as finding meaning in their lives in other ways. However people are, wherever they are, just breathing with them in this infinite field of loving kindness. And then just starting to let go, coming back. Into your body, grounded in whatever situation you're in. Okay, so just before I start to talk on what the Buddha said about arguments, just want to say a few shout-outs. It's good to hear from Sarah in Crystal Palace, and Ladana down the road in Forest Hill, and Jill's here from Gypsy Hill, and Joe's here from Tulsa, all the hills, and Elena's here from Herne Hill Road, and Lynn's here from Wiltshire. Hi, Lynn. So yeah, good to know you're all out there, and yeah, so we'll let's get into the subject of the evening together. So yeah, so speech communication is really happening all the time, isn't it? It's not something we can really have much of a choice about. We can choose whether we're going to meditate, whether we're going to take up vegetable gardening, whether we're going to give up alcohol for the week, but we can't choose not to communicate. Communication just happens as part of life, and it easily goes awry, doesn't it? And why does it go awry? We all want to live in kind of harmonious situation. Life's easier when it's like that. So why does conflict arise? So I'm going to talk primarily about speech, how we use our speech, and how that links into the subject of the evening. Because Buddhism's got a lot to say about how we speak and how we receive that. Yeah. So from a Buddhist point of view, we've got this threefold division of mind, body, and speech. Yeah. Interestingly, this sort of body here, speech here, mind here. Yeah? So you've got this threefold division with speech here in the middle, yeah. So and the throat center, and it's halfway between the head and the heart, isn't it? So it's between thought and emotion, and so communication is very difficult to control, partly for that reason, yeah. Control is really important. Speech itself is a kind of action, isn't it? It doesn't often feel like an action, does it? Because it's so close to thinking, so close to it's our thinking made manifest that we kind of sometimes don't even think that it's going to have an effect. We feel like our thinking is kind of contained somehow. We don't quite recognise the fact that our speech is going to have an effect in the world in the way that it does. And yet it does, doesn't it? It really does, and it has all sorts of repercussions. I'm just going to read a little thing from the Dharma, which is an old part of the Buddha's teachings. It says here, "Do not speak roughly to anyone. Those that thus spoken to will answer back, because angry talk is extremely painful to bear. You will experience retribution." And that's true, isn't it? It's hard to bear. It's hard to take a harsh speech in that way. Yeah? So it has these repercussions. So yeah, the Buddha described these four aspects of speech that he wanted us to take care of. Yeah, to create the kind of world that we want to live in. There's these four types of speech, and there's a positive and a negative for each of the four. So there's truthful speech, untruthful speech, kindly speech and harsh speech. There's helpful speech and frivolous speech, and there's harmonious speech and slanderous speech. So there's these four aspects of speech that the Buddha exhorted us to take an interest in. And it's really a profound thing to do, to look at what we say. Yeah, what we say is a very profound thing to do. And in this, it's quite easy to, with Buddhist teaching, to kind of slip over the profundity of it, thinking that's quite simple, isn't it? Oh, I'm kind of telling the truth. Oh, I know what that is. That's just not telling lies. But if we look carefully, with any degree of kind of interest, curiosity, we see that we're always manipulating our speech in order to kind of manipulate our world. Yeah, we're kind of exaggerating, we're distorting, we're kind of bending it to suit our ends. Yeah? So the question then is, do we really speak the truth unless we say what we really think? Do we really speak the truth unless we say what we really we say what we really feel? And it's quite difficult to know, isn't it? What we think, what we feel. We're often in this kind of state of confusion. And the question then is, well, if we don't know, how can we speak the truth? So the Buddha was exhorting us to clarify our thinking, clarify our ideas, clarify intellectually. What do we think about something? Yeah, what do we think about? What do we not think about it? Start to examine our kind of intellectual understandings of the world. And he was also exhorting us to clarify our emotions. So what do we feel? What do we not feel? Yeah. So to start to clarify our emotions also. And even more than that, there's this pressing need to understand our drives, our motivations, our ideas, our ideals, even our views, the way we kind of see the world, because all of that is going to really kind of how we approximate the truth, how we try and get at the truth. Yeah? So complete honesty with ourselves seems to be a prerequisite for speaking the truth. Really knowing ourselves seems to be a prerequisite for the truth, because if we're transparent to ourselves, then we can be transparent to others. But it's really not easy, is it? It's really not easy to know oneself in that way, yeah? And so then it's not surprising that all sorts of lack of clarity builds into our communication, all sorts of misunderstandings can develop as a result. But when we do speak the truth, it's a great relief, isn't it? You know, you may have been trying to formulate this thing that you want to say to someone for a while, and when you actually say it and it comes out cleanly, it's a great relief, isn't it? It's even really quite exhilarating when that happens. So yeah, so speaking the truth really requires us to be ourselves and to kind of know ourselves and to talk out of that place. So I live in a Buddhist community. A lot of you who know me and know where we live with other guys in a Buddhist community in Streatham, near Brixton. And well, one of the features of living in a community, and I've lived in community, two different communities over the course of 8 years. One of the features is trying to get at the truth with one another. Yeah? And that sounds rather kind of clunky and rather kind of heavy in a way, but actually it's just what I've realised is it involves quite a lot of checking out. So it's quite difficult to do that checking out because often it's pride getting in the way. So it's like you hear something that felt a bit hurtful at the dinner table or a bit sharp, and you know you might want to just check out something about what was behind that, or you might be getting into some resentment and with an ideas about things, and you might just need to check that out with the person. And so often then I found time and time again getting back into communication, getting at the truth together in that collaborative way just kind of gets the communication to deepen, gets the friendship to deepen. So so it's quite so often it's kind of pride getting in the way. I think pride kind of stopping us checking things out in that way because we don't want to seem to be petty or don't want to seem to be too kind of neurotic or kind of uptight. So it's often pride that's kind of stopping us from moving towards other people. So that brings us then now into this next aspect of speech, which is affectionate speech. And it's not, from a Buddhist point of view, it's not enough to just speak truthfully. It's not going to be just satisfying to kind of be putting out the facts and trying to get at the facts of the matter. There needs to be a love and affection in speech for it to really satisfy. And what I'm not talking about here is kind of terms of endearment, kind of sentimentality. What I'm talking about here is really talking the truth with awareness of the other person that you're talking to, with a real awareness of the other person. And it's tempting to think that we do that, isn't it? But do we do that? Do we do that? Do we even look at them? Do we even take them in when we're talking to them? I've noticed I've been busy recently, and I've been kind of, sometimes just been kind of glancing at my watch or glancing at the clock on the wall, and I'm talking to, someone's asking me about something, and I'm just not quite present to it. So can we give people our full kind of front, if you see what I mean, our full surface area? Do we take them in? So it's very interesting doing what's called the communication exercise on retreats. Probably done on True Atma retreats, and they can be really, illuminating. They're quite simple concept. You're just sitting opposite somebody, quite close by, in a safe, settled environment, and they're just the exercises of taking people in. And one of them is just simply to look at the other person. And I've been really moved so many times when I've done this, taken in someone, really moving. And I remember one time the person I was looking at kind of burst into tears, and it was so moving. And when I was asking them, in the break after the exercise, what happened, they said, "Oh, no one has taken me in all week. Nobody's kind of properly looked at me all week." It was really touching, and so there's these exercises that really kind of illuminate how superficial we can be in this area, how superficial our minds can get around communication. Yeah? So, as I say, it's really tempting to think, I'm affectionate, I'm a loving kind of person, yeah. But I've got another question here. Do we actually see other people, or do we often see them in terms of our own emotional reaction to them? Yeah, our own emotional reaction to them. So in the sense of like we react to them, and then we attribute that reaction to them. People doing what we want, we think of them as helpful, good people. Doing what we want, it can be the other way around. Yeah? So often we're just attributing our emotional response to the other person. And this means that so often what we're actually in communication with is our actual projections of this other person. And what's sobering is that this can often be with people that we feel like we know really well. People we feel we know really well, like family, friends, or people you live with, flatmates. You think you might know them well, and in a certain way you're not taking them in as a result of this idea of knowing them so well. Yeah. So it's quite a sobering thought, this idea of the way that we're kind of projecting out onto other people. And again, it's not surprising then that there's misunderstandings and blockages and all the kind of disappointments of that can ensue from intimate relationships that kind of flow as a result of this kind of inability to really take people in. So I just think it's a good thing to acknowledge and kind of put out there to have a look at in the light of day, so to speak. So to the extent we speak the truth and the extent that we take people in, there can be this mutual awareness, yeah? There can be this kind of helpfulness, and then this aspect, another aspect of speech can arise, the helpful aspect of speech. Now, you can always be practically helpful with people, can't we, helping them out, and on that level, that's kind of always available. But this helpful speech, in a broader sense, in a deeper sense, so to speak, is to do with really speaking in a way which expands that person's being. Yeah? It doesn't diminish them, doesn't close them down. It expands their being. Yeah? And it doesn't preclude criticism. I don't think it precludes criticism. In fact, if you're really taking someone in, really got to know them and see that there's something that's getting in the way of their communication or something that they're, some blind spot, you might want to approach that with them. But I think it really does need to be thought out and sparingly kind of applied. Yeah. What we could really do with, I think, all of us is bending back the bamboo the other way in this area and starting to actually look for the positives, the positive qualities in other people. It's really quite an exercise in itself. And we've got a spate of birthdays coming up here in the community. It's a bit of a shame, they're all kind of squeezed together over the course of about 6 weeks. Because birthdays are really lovely occasion in communities, because the highlight of a birthday, other than the cake and all the presents and all the normal things, is that we do a rejoicing. So we go around and we rejoice in the person whose birthday it is, and kind of draw out and hydrate those positive qualities. Talk into those positive qualities, not kind of in a saccharine way, not making anything up, but just really demonstrating that we've taken them in, we've taken those aspects of that person in, we've taken the aspects of their being in that way, and those emergent qualities or those present qualities. And it's just lovely. It kind of creates this abundant, lovely atmosphere. That season's coming up, luckily, in the community. So I'm looking forward to that. So as I said, to the extent that we're helpful, we can actually start to build a harmony, and we can build harmony. So that's half the story, isn't it? But the other half of the story is how we receive communication, isn't it? And this is very interesting. This is a very different emphasis placed in this area in Buddhist teaching. It's in the area of the mind training tradition. And this idea of that where there's difficulties on the path, particularly other people's strong emotion, we can really grow in the way we respond to that in a positive way. So I'm going to just speak another quote from the Dharma. It says here, and this is a kind of the basis of this kind of mind training: not by hatred are hatreds ever pacified here in the world. They are pacified by love. This is the eternal law. So let's unpack some of this, what the Buddha said about how we receive speech, how we receive communication. He's talking here now in a sutta, in a discourse from the Buddha. He's talking about how a bhikkhu or a disciple of the Buddha would respond to disagreeable speech. Yeah, and it's in the sutta of the simile of the saw. So there's a little story which I'm just going to relate to you the story. So in this sutta, the Buddha uses a story about Vedayika, and she's a housewife in Sarvanath, and so he uses it to illustrate how one responds to speech which is or action which is unpleasant. So this lady Vedayika was in a village, and she had a good reputation, apparently, kind, gentle, a peaceful reputation. But her maid isn't so sure. She's not so sure. And so she starts to decide to test her. She doesn't know if her anger is just not present because this maid is so neat and she's so good and she gets up so early to do all the stuff that she needs to do. So what happens is this maid tests her and she gets up later and later and later. And eventually Avadaka kind of snaps. She says, "What's the matter? What's the matter with you?" And the maid replies, "Nothing." And she says, Avadaka says, "Well, nothing's the matter, you wicked girl. You get up so late." And she's so angry and displeased that she takes a rolling pin and chases the maid down the street. Now, she's chasing the maid down the street in this village. Her reputation is quite quickly changed as a result. And this is what the Buddha says about that. He says, "So too, a bhikkhu is extremely kind, gentle and peaceful, as long as disagreeable speech does not touch him. But it is only when disagreeable speech does touch him can you really know whether he is kind, whether he's gentle and peaceful." So we should train thus. We should be easy to admonish. Admonish in this sense meaning easy to kind of instruct or give feedback to. And he said we should be easy to admonish because we honour, we respect and we revere the Dharma. So I think that's quite interesting because what he's saying there, and what he's saying there is we respect and revere the Dharma. What he's saying in this sense is the Dharma is synonymous with the three jewels, these three jewels of Buddhism that we saluted earlier. These highest ideals of the Buddha, the qualities of enlightenment, the Dharma, the teachings that make us expand and grow towards that, and the community of the Buddha's disciples that are practicing in that way. Yeah. And so we respect and we revere those qualities, those ideals. And so therefore we're going to do and act in any way which is going to get us closer to them. Yeah. And we're not going to act in any way which kind of gets us further away from them. Yeah? So I'm going to keep going with the word of the Buddha. And this is now in the Kodana Sutta. And I like this because it shows a real discernment. It shows that we can show real discernment in the way we respond. Yeah. So it says that a person who is reproved, which means admonished in this same way, yeah, kind of instructed or give feedback to, should ground themselves in two things: truth and an even temper. And here even temper is rendered it's a kupa, which means kind of unshakable, immovable, steadfast, safe. Yeah, and it says so we should ground ourselves in the truth and an even temper, even if others reprove me at the right time or the wrong time, truthfully or falsely, gently or harshly, with a mind of loving kindness, or with secret hate. I will still ground myself in two things: truth and an even temper. And this now is the discernment part. He says, if I know that quality that they're reproving, if that quality is found in me, I will tell them that it is. If I know that quality is not found in me, I will tell them that it is not. So I think this is really interesting because it's showing that you're not the Buddha is not advocating being a kind of doormat in communication. Quite the opposite. He's pointing to this kind of discernment that we can bring in, yeah, which I think points right back to the start of what I was saying about knowing ourselves, yeah? knowing who we are, knowing ourselves, not clarifying our thought, clarifying our emotions, so that we know. Whether that fault that's been pointed out is there in us. And if it's not, that we can also acknowledge and say, that it's not there present in us. Yeah? So, just moving on from that, I'm just going to go into the final part of this talk now, which is about the kind of really extending this into its full broad kind of depths, broadness, yeah. So we're extending this concept of mind training, and the Buddha goes on in this way. Herein, because you should train thus, our minds will remain unaffected, and we shall utter no evil words. We shall abide compassionate for their welfare, with a mind of metta, without inner hate. We shall abide, pervading that person with a heart full of metta. And then he goes on to give these similes of kind of a mind kind of orientated in that way. He says, train your minds to be similar to the earth. And ask the question, could someone get rid of the great earth by digging it up, spitting on it, or urinating on it? No, well, why not? Because this earth is deep, it's immense, in this sense, immense, immeasurable, infinite, boundless. Yeah? Train your minds to be similar to empty space. Could someone paint on empty space? No, why not? Because empty space is formless and invisible. And goes on, train your minds to be similar to the river Ganges. Could someone burn up the river Ganges with a grass torch? No, why not? Because the river Ganges is deep, Gambhira, deep, weighty, and immense. So the Buddha is advocating various degrees of reactivity, various degrees of response, and he advocates in the most difficult of circumstances the kind of block of wood approach. Not just like fixing oneself not to speak unskillfully, but if there's a little bit of give there, working in this discerning way with what's coming towards you, and trying to keep this broad perspective, and that's in a way what we're trying to do. We're trying to maintain this broad perspective in the midst of the tensions and misunderstandings that arise from being up close to one another, and trying to connect with metta in these difficult communications, these difficult circumstances, and in a way just working always back to what we were doing in the meditation, which was to see people as it were from their own side. They want happiness from their own side. They may not be going about that in the way that we approve of, but that's what they want, yeah. And we share that with them. So coming back in a way to this broadest of perspectives. Okay, so I'm going to leave the talk there. I really would appreciate any questions you have, if that stimulated any questions or comments. Sometimes difficult to formulate a question, but you might just have a comment or something that's occurred to you in the course of that talk. So I'm going to just encourage you to type those into the chat box, and we'll have a chance to get at those in a minute. And while you're doing that, I'm going to just say one thing, which is that at Brixton Buddhist community, we're trying to create this sense of community. We used to do that in person. We used to do that in person at the centre, the physical centre that we used to enjoy, kind of welcoming people into that space. And as part of that, there was always a dana bowl there, a bowl of generosity that people could give to. The giving was kind of not transactional. It was just like, it was out of appreciation for, the classes were all laid on, so to speak, without charge, but it was just to show appreciation and in a way kind of help form this community because it's co-created. So we're trying to bring that all online in lots of various ways. We've got behind the scenes, there's study groups going on, there's a course, we're up to 30 people, I think there is on that course. We're doing various calls, and we're doing these live streams. So this community is still very much functioning, but we've worked out we need £2,000 to really keep it going. Yeah? So if you move to give and be part of this community as we move online in this period, well then just kind of respond to that. The links in the description below, so just you can just follow those if you want to give, and that'd be much appreciated. Okay, so we're going to have a Zoom call following this, and again, we can follow up any questions or comments there. But for the time being, let's see if we've got any questions coming out. Okay, so we haven't got any questions there as yet. So I'm going to, just encourage you to, drop a thought in so that I can kind of work off of that and see if we can get something going. But in the meantime, I suppose I'll just say my own reflection on the talk, on preparing that talk, getting into that talk, thinking about that talk. I was really struck by the difference between what the Buddha was advocating in terms of what we do in taking responsibility for our speech, the way we kind of act in the world. It's a kind of action according to Buddhism. So taking full kind of responsibility for that, the quality of that. So I was really struck with that, the emphasis on our own speech, taking responsibility. But I thought it was really interesting how, from a Buddhist point of view, we're not expecting that of other people. We're not looking for, okay, we're going to intuit that, we're going to pick that up if there's truthfulness, if there's affection coming towards, if there is, it's great. But what the Buddha is advocating is that we work in a different way with what we receive, not kind of trying to nitpick as to truth, what's exactly coming, but seeing what our own response is, and again taking kind of responsibility for that and trying to receive that and discern about what's coming in and respond in ways that are going to kind of keep opening up the situation, opening ourselves up, and opening up whoever we're in contact with. Okay, I'm just noticing that is there a comment on
that? We've got one question from Elena.
Okay.
She asks, when pointing at the areas that correspond with body, speech and mind, you pointed at your forehead, throat and heart. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really interesting, Elena, isn't it? Body, speech and mind. It's very interesting. It's almost slightly counterintuitive, isn't it? But I think what's being got at is the senses, or the body in Buddhism is thought of as the five senses, physical senses, including the mind in the sense of planning and memories and thought. And that's often feels like it's kind of taking place through these sense gates of touch and sight and hearing. But a lot of that seems to be processed, feels like it's kind of processed kind of here, if you see what I mean. The speech centre is around the throat, so that's a bit more intuitive there, isn't it? And the mind here, is like the chitta, is the Buddhist terminology of chitta, is a kind of mind-heart. So it's kind of our kind of emotional response, but kind of an intelligence there as well. So the heart kind of mind here. So so then that places the throat centre there firmly in the middle between body and mind, and makes it this kind of intermediate aspect of the way we kind of are in the world. Yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit something about that, Elena. Another one?
We've got a comment from Derek. He says, it feels hard to avoid being angry with some politicians who seem to not have taken actions which could have saved lives during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a really good question, Derek. Thanks for that. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I mean, we can get into, real, what feels like very kind of righteous anger in a way when we feel like things are not being done well. That takes all sorts of forms, doesn't it? Just from kind of mild forms at work where we see people don't seem to be working, properly or effectively or whatever, right through to these public figures who might appear to us to be behaving negligibly or so on. And what I think we need to guard against, I think we need to show that discernment as to what they've done, what they have done well, and what they haven't done well, and address those aspects which both in a way address both aspects. But I think what we need to guard against is a kind of righteous indignation, which is very, very easy to fall into it because it's a kind of can be just a vehicle for our own anxieties, and we kind of can get into this really kind of hot, bothered state about people, which ultimately doesn't really help. It kind of the effect of that is it turns people very much into a kind of caricature and precludes any real kind of communication. Not necessarily that you're going to be sitting down communicating with these politicians, but even in your own mind, it kind of closes down the possibility of any give or take as to what they're doing well, what they're not doing well. So it kind of closes, in a certain way, it closes down some of that discernment, or can do. But if, so that has lots of caveats. I mean, obviously, if you're seeing people that you find or feeling that are really acting in ways that are unhelpful, there can be quite a strong kind of energy to do something about that, yeah? And if that's blocked, it can turn into anger. And that energy to affect change is not a bad thing, yeah? It's like, how can I actually channel that in a way that's going to be positive and not just going to stop and stagnate in a way that so often our kind of anger and feelings of ill will do, So can I actually go out and affect some change? Can I channel that kind of breakthrough energy in ways that are going to be more helpful? So just a few ideas. It's definitely not a kind of covering all angles of that area, but just maybe just covering a couple of the aspects. Okay, so thanks, Derek. Thanks for the question. So thanks everybody for joining Adam on this live stream, this Wednesday night live stream. And what I'm going to encourage you to do, if there's anybody who hasn't stepped into a Buddhist centre before, that's not sure about a Buddhist centre, what goes on there, who are these people, and so on. Well, that was a step that took me a while to take, as well, when I first turned up. And I would just encourage you to step into one of these Zoom calls, maybe after the Monday night stream or the Wednesday night stream, and just get a sense of the culture where we'll just be moving some of the ideas around from my talk, from our own experience of in these areas, and just come in. And you don't need to necessarily participate particularly, but you can get a little bit of a sense of the atmosphere and get a feel for it. So you're very, very welcome to join, whether you're been around a long time in Brixton Sangha, or whether you just joined this stream or started just joining recently. And the links are all in the description as well, so you can just follow that. And we'll get that call going at 8:45. So you've still got time to get yourself a cup of tea and get yourself sorted out, and then you can join me and the rest of the Buddhist community on this Zoom call. So anyway, for now, wish you a very good night.